But yeah, today we're doing a full card prediction for Whittaker versus Gastelum. 13 fights on the entire fight card. Robert Whittaker and Kelvin Gastelum in the main event. A lot of fights were switched around. Robert Whittaker was supposed to fight Paulo Costa. He has some sort of illness. 4 other fights did get switched around a little bit just a couple of days ago. So now we have a new main event. In the co-main event, Drakkar Klose and Jeremy Stephens. We have Luis Pena, Alex Munoz, Ricardo Ramos, and Bill Algeo. Jacob Malkoun and Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Andrei Arlovsky coming and on short notice on Chase Sherman. We have Gerald Mershar and Bartosz Babinski. A lot of other really good fights. Alexander Romanov and Juan Espino. So many really good fights that are happening for UFC Fight Night. Whittaker versus Gastelum. But we're going to get started with the first fight on the fight card. We have Austin Hubbard and Dakota Bush. This fight is a lightweight fight. If you guys do not know who Dakota Bush is, he's going to have the reach advantage. Same height right here, 26, almost 27 years old. A really good fighter coming out of the LFA. And he's taking this fight on short notice. Austin Hubbard was supposed to be fighting Natan Levy in a really close fight. But now he's fighting Dakota Bush, who has 8 wins and 2 losses. A first round, a head kick KO win. A first rounder naked, a first rounder naked, a third rounder naked, and a first rounder naked. You might look at this and see 4 first round, and third round rear naked submissions. You gotta think he's a really good grappler, something like that. To be honest, he's not really the best grappler. He's just getting, some pretty good positions in his fights. And allowing him to get those rear naked choke submissions. But in this fight with Austin Hubbard, I really doubt he's gonna get Austin Hubbard's back and get that submission on Austin Hubbard. Is very unlikely, but his striking is really good. He's gonna have a 2-inch reach advantage over Austin Hubbard in the fight. Coming off an amazing 1 minute first round knockout win over Austin Clem. Has a couple other knockouts on his record. 2 knockout wins, 2 decision wins, and 4 submission wins. A really powerful puncher, really fast puncher, and when he's in the clinch, he lands a lot of really good elbows and a lot of really good right hands. A very good prospect coming out of the LFA. But the thing is, he's taking this fight on 5 days' notice. This fight just got announced just 2 days ago on Monday. That is not a lot of time to prepare for a guy like Austin Hubbard, who's a really hard guy to prepare for. 12 wins and 5 losses. Coming with a dominant loss to Joe Solecki by first round submission. Joe Solecki, Marco Madsen, Davey Ramos, his only 3 losses inside the UFC. Wrestler, and grappler. Every single one of his losses coming to really good grapplers and really good wrestlers. So I don't blame him. Those dudes just took him down over and over again. The one by decision, and one by submission. His other wins over Max Roskov and Kyle Propolic. Won in the striking game, and he dominated Max Roskov in the striking game, dominated Kyle Propolic in the striking game, beat Kilis Mota by 5th round knockout in the main event of LFA 56, and he fought an undefeated Kilis Mota at the time, becoming the LFA lightweight belt, the lightweight champion, I believe. If you look at how he wins his fights, 4 KO TKO wins, 3 submission wins, and 5 decision wins. That's really good striking. The striking in the fight is going to be very even. Dakota Bush might have a little advantage just because of that reach. He is going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. He's a very powerful and very fast striker. Has really good head movement. So in the striking game, it's going to be very even. But Austin Hubbard has so much experience with really good wrestlers. And like Joseph, like Marco Madsen, like Davey Ramos, like Max Roskov, all these are really good wrestlers, and that are going for takedown after takedown, and he's done very good against them. He's gotten a lot of experience, and he's a very good wrestler. So in this fight, I actually expect Austin Hubbard to go out there and make his fight more of a wrestling-based fight. I'm going for takedown after takedown, getting ground up, going for some submissions. I honestly think Austin Hubbard is going to go for takedowns on Dakota Bush, and Dakota Bush is going to be the one that is trying to keep the fight on the feet. But it's very interesting because his striking game is very even. Usually you look at a guy like Austin Hubbard, he has really good striking. With a reach advantage, kind of gets me to kind of look towards Dakota Bush, just because he has a 2-inch reach advantage over Austin Hubbard in the fight. So the striking game is going to be very even. With the grappling game, I will have to give the edge to Austin Hubbard. The wrestling game, I will have to give the edge to Austin Hubbard in the fight. Considering this fight is 5 days notice, that is obviously an advantage for Austin Hubbard in the fight. But I am going with Austin Hubbard to win the fight by 29-28. Unanimous decision. The striking game is going to be very even. The grappling game will go towards Austin Hubbard. The wrestling will go to Austin Hubbard. The submission skills will go to Austin Hubbard. The ground and pound will all go to Austin Hubbard. Everything in the ground game will go to Austin Hubbard, and the striking will be very even. And because of that, I will go with Austin Hubbard to win this fight on short notice by 29-28 unanimous decision. If he was supposed to be fighting Natan Levy, I don't really know, man, because Austin Hubbard has kind of developed developed a really good takedown defense. But when he's fighting a guy like Natan Levy, an undefeated fighter in the lightweight division, has a really good wrestling. I don't know how that fight would play out. But considering this fight is 5 days notice for Dakota Bush, I will be going with Austin Hubbard to win the fight on a 29-28 unanimous decision. After that, we have another short notice fight, Jessica Penne and Lupita Godinez. This fight is in the strawweight division. Jessica Penne, garbage. I mean, she's 38 years old, 5'5" inches tall, 67-inch reach. Yes, she might have the reach advantage, she might have the height advantage. She does not have the age advantage whatsoever in the fight. I'm a humongous underdog at 3-1 odds for Lupita Godinez in the fight. She's on a 3-fight losing streak, and get this, guys, she has 1 win inside of the UFC against a random Marcos by split decision. Everything else, lost to Carla Esparza, lost to Joanna Jacek, Jessica Andrade, and Danielle Taylor. 1 win inside of the UFC by split decision. Before that, fought inside of Invicta FC, and got some decent wins over there. Fought Michelle Watterson. But overall, her main way of winning the fight is to get the fight to the ground as soon as possible. Play more of a grappling-based, wrestling-based game plan, and get the fight to the ground as soon as possible, and go for submission after submission after submission over and over again. You already know, 8 submission wins on her record, 4 decision wins, and 2 knockout wins. That's your main way of winning the fight, by submission in the first or second round. But when you got a girl like Lupita Godinez, who is really good takedown defense and amazing striking, decision win, first round submission win, and a decision win. In her last fight with Vanessa Demopoulos in a main event inside of the LFA. Vanessa Demopoulos is a really good grappler. She kept the fight on the feet, kept it more of a striking, kickboxing type of fight, and won that fight by majority decision in a 5-round main event. But if she can do good against Vanessa Demopoulos, defend the takedowns, keep the fight on the feet, and win in the striking game against Vanessa Demopoulos, I 100% think she's going to do the exact same thing against Jessica Penne in the fight. She's going to keep the fight on the feet, defend the takedowns, and ultimately, in my opinion, dominate the fight on the feet and win the fight by 30-27 unanimous decision. I think it's going to be a dominant performance from Lupita Godinez, who right now is an undefeated fighter in the strawweight division, 5 wins and 0 losses. I think she's going to become 6-0 after this fight in her first fight inside of the UFC. Should be a really good fight right there between Lupita Godinez and Jessica Penne. But after that, with a bantamweight fight, striker with Zara Farron and Josie Nunez. Both fighters have most of their wins coming by KO TKO. Zara Farron 6 wins and 4 losses, 4 knockout wins, and 2 decision wins. Out of her 4 losses, 2 decision losses, 1 knockout loss, and 1 submission loss. She's a much older fighter at 34.5 years old, 5'8" inches tall, 73-inch reach. Josie Nunez, 7 wins, 1 loss, 27 years old, a much smaller fighter. Get this, guys, 5'2" tall. Her reach around 67 inches, so humongous advantages there for Zara Farron in the striking game. According to the height and reach advantages for Zara Farron, having a 6-inch height advantage and a 5-inch reach advantage over Josie Nunez in the fight. But the thing is, even though she's gonna have that height advantage, even though she's gonna have that reach advantage, we saw in her last fight with a girl like Alicia Spencer, she went for takedown after takedown over and over and got her down and ground and pounded the heck out of her and finished her, I believe, in the very first round by domination. Josie Nunez is a very good wrestler with a really good ground and pound and very good power. 7 wins and 1 loss. You look right here, every single one of her wins except for one of those wins coming by KO TKO, 6 KO TKO wins and 1 decision win. Her only loss as a professional MMA fighter to Haila Santos. If you guys do not know who she is right now, she's the 21st best flyweight fighter in the world. She's an absolute beast. That is her only professional loss, which is absolutely insane. Amazing power, really good striking, really good wrestling, and a really good ground and pound. Zara Farron, her only way of winning the fight, in my opinion, to keep the fight on the feet, make it a technical striking fight, kind of keep range and win the fight by decision in the striking game. But when you're facing a girl like Josie Nunez, who's gonna go out there, pressure you, just like Khabib does, just gonna keep on pressuring you over and over again, and eventually you're gonna get your back to the cage, and Josie Nunez is gonna shoot in for a double leg, get you down, and dominate you on the ground with ground and pound. Not really go for any submissions, just dominate you on the ground with a buttload of ground and pound. I think Josie Nunez is gonna get the fight to the ground as soon as possible and dominate Zara Farron, just like in her last fight with Alicia Spencer. I think Josie Nunez is gonna go out there, go for a takedown after takedown, get her down, and land a lot of ground and pound shots and win the fight, possibly by TKO in the second round. But I think it's 50-50 on if we see a finish by KO TKO from Jose Nunez, or if the fight goes all the way and it's a dominant ground and pound out of the wrestling win from Jose Nunez in the fight. But overall, I will go with Jose Nunez to win the fight by 30-27, possibly a 30-26 unanimous decision. And again, this fight could be a TKO, could be a knockout, but I do have her winning the fight by unanimous decision. After that, we have another short notice fight. Tony Gravely was supposed to fight Nate Maness, is now fighting Anthony Bert on 1 week's notice. Tony Gravely, 20 wins and 6 losses. This is crazy right here. Every single one of those 6 losses as a professional MMA fighter. Look right here. You got Brett Johns, who's inside of Bellator right now. He's been inside the UFC. His other loss, Apache Mix, a former Bellator bantamweight champion. You have Manny Bermudez, who was once inside of the UFC. Merab Dvalishvili, who was inside of the UFC right now, a top 15 bantamweight fighter in the world. You have Ricky Bandejas, who is inside of Bellator, who is inside of the UFC. You have Pat Sabatini, who is inside of the UFC. Every single one of this man's losses has come to legit UFC Bellator caliber competition. I mean, he's fighting the best of the best. 8 knockout wins, 9 decision wins, and 3 decision wins. Really, really good striking. He's a 3-1 favorite over Anthony Bert here. 5'5" tall, 69-inch reach. So Anthony Bert may have that reach advantage, may have the height advantage, but he is not going to have the age advantage over Tony Gravely in the fight, as he is 34, almost 35 years old in 1 month. Tony Gravely in the prime of his career at 29 and a half years old, 15 wins and 7 losses. A lot of submission wins and a lot of finishes on his record. 7 submission wins and 5 KO TKO wins. Honestly, the striking game could be pretty even. Tony Gravely will have the wrestling advantage, maybe not the submission advantage, but he will have the striking advantage and the wrestling advantage over Anthony Bert in the fight. The submission skills probably will go to Anthony Bert. Most likely, if he were to win the fight, it would be by submission. But Tony Gravely, with his wrestling, with his ground and pound, with his striking, I think overall will keep the fight on the feet and end up every now and then going for a takedown, just kind of leave an impression on the judges' scorecards. And ultimately, I think the fight is gonna go all the way, and Tony Gravely is going to win the fight by 30-27, a unanimous decision. I am super excited for this fight. We have Alexander Romanov and Juan Espino. I mean, if you guys do not know anything about Alexander Romanov and Juan Espino, all you really need to know is Alexander Romanov is a finisher and Juan Espino an amazing grappler with 8 submission wins and 1 knockout win on his record. Only 1 fight going all the way. Alexander Romanov, 0 fights going all the way, 13 wins and 0 losses, 9 submission wins and 4 KO TKO wins. You look right here, first round submission, third round submission, first round submission, first knockout, first and a forearm choke submission. I mean, he's an absolute beast. So many finishes on his record. A really big fighter in the heavyweight division. Juan Espino, I believe 8 or 9 submission wins on his record, 10 wins and 1 loss. So 8 submissions, 1 knockout win, and 3 decision wins. He had a couple of fights on the Ultimate Fighter 28. Got 2 wins in a row over Maurice Rena and Ben Sassoli, then beat Justin Frazier by first round arm long submission, and then beat Jeff Hughes by first round submission. I mean, it's grappler versus a grappler slash ground and pound, and real. I mean, come on, dude, come on, man. This is an amazing fight right here. It's a really underrated fight on the prelims of UFC Fight Night. Whittaker versus Gastelum. It's a really interesting fight. The betting odds are really close. -140 and +120. The one thing is, Juan Espino is 40 and a half years old. He's a little bit taller. He's 6'3" inches tall, and has, 80-inch reach for Juan Espino is absolutely insane. He is gonna have the height advantage. He is gonna have the reach advantage. Alexander Romanov is gonna have the age advantage in the fight. Alexander Romanov is gonna have the striking advantage and is gonna have the ground and pound advantage. With the man who's gonna have the grappling and the submission advantage will be Juan Espino. The grappling game will be really close. But Alexander Romanov, his striking, his ground and pound is gonna be way too much. I think either Juan Espino goes out there and gets a submission in the first or second round, or Alexander Romanov goes out there and gets a TKO in the first or second round. One of those two things is gonna happen in this heavyweight fight on the prelims. It's a really close fight, but I am going with Alexander Romanov. The King Kong of the heavyweight division. His nickname is right there. The man is an absolute beast, but I am going Alexander Romanov to win the fight on my first knockout or first round TKO. But it's such a really good fight on the prelims of UFC Fight Night. Gastelum versus Whittaker, a really good fight right there. But I am going with Alexander Romanov to win the fight by first or second round TKO. Should be a really good heavyweight fight there. After that, we have Tracy, Cortez, and Justin Kish. all you really have to say for the fight, Justine Kish wants to keep the fight on the feet. I mean, she's beaten Nina Askarov, she's beaten Lucy Bodilova, Ashley Yoder, Reina Marcos in really striking performances in all those fights. Coming off a submission loss to Sabina Mazo, a third round submission, 5 decision wins and 2 submission wins. She has very, very striking and some pretty good submission skills. But in this fight with Tracy Cortez, who is the younger fighter, the taller fighter, the more lengthy fighter, has 67-inch reach. She's gonna go out there, go for a takedown. After takedown, Justine Kish, in my opinion, is going to be looking for a submission, or is going to be looking to keep the fight on the feet and make it a very, very close, striking fight in the fight. With Tracy Cortez, her wrestling is just so good. You watch the last 2 fights, inside the UFC against Stephanie Egger and Vanessa Mello and Maria Agapova and Erin Blackfield, 4 wins in a row, all by unanimous and split decision. Really dominant wins in there. Mainly wrestling and striking performances in the clinch, in the wrestling game, going for takedown after takedown. She's an absolute beast. Of the wrestler in the women's flyweight division. Justine Kish, I find it very hard for her to defend the takedowns from Tracy Cortez. I mean, her wrestling and her grappling is going to be way too much. I mean, all I really have to say is Tracy Cortez is going to go for takedown after takedown, get her down, and go for ground and pound over and over. And I think Tracy Cortez is going to win the fight by 30-27 unanimous decision. Could be a really good flyweight fight. I'm very curious to see if Justine Kish does keep the fight on the feet. How close of a fight will it be in the striking game? But overall, Tracy Cortez will get her down eventually in the fight and ultimately win the fight by 30-27 unanimous decision. Should be a really good flyweight fight in the women's divisions between Tracy Cortez and Justine Kish in the fight. Then we have a grappler and a striker, Bartosz Fabinski and Gerald Meerschaert in the main prelim for UFC Fight Night, Whittaker versus Gastelum. Gerald Meerschaert, 31 wins, 14 losses, and I believe it was 0 draws. 31 wins and 14 losses. Look right here, 23 submission wins on his record, 6 KO TKO wins on his record. 0 of his fights inside of the UFC have gone all the way. Only 2 fights in his professional MMA career have gone all the way. 8 submission losses and 3 KO TKO losses. In his last 2 fights, getting knocked out twice. To Hamza Chimaev by first round knockout and Ian Hines by first round knockout. I mean, absolutely insane. The man has really good grappling, but in his last 2 fights, it has kind of shown to not really have the best chin. But Bartosz Fabinski has really good power. 15 wins and 4 losses. 8 KO TKO wins and 7 decision wins. If you look at how he's losing those fights, you look right here, 3 submission losses and 1 decision losses. So Bartosz Fabinski is going to be looking to keep the fight on the feet. I guess he's coming off of 2 losses in his last 3 fights to, I believe, Andre Muniz, and then in his last fight to Michael Perezeres. Lost by first round guillotine and first round armbar submission. When you're facing a guy like Gerald Meerschaert, he's going to go out there, he's going to go for takedowns, try to get you down, and go for submission after submission, try to submit you in the first or second round. It's going to be very hard for a guy like Bartosz Fabinski, who doesn't really have the best submission defense, being submitted already 3 times in his professional MMA career, and inside the UFC has yet to get a KO TKO win. His only knockout wins were early in his career back in 2014, so I really doubt he's going to get a KO TKO. I think either way, it's either Bartosz Fabinski to win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision, or Gerald Meerschaert to win the fight by first round submission, or win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. In the grappling and in the wrestling game in the fight. I think it's going to be very hard for Bartosz Fabinski to keep the fight on the feet. Gerald Meerschaert, really good takedown, really good wrestling, really good grappling, very good submission skills, 25 plus wins coming by submission. This is actually my first underdog that I have on the fight card. I have Gerald Meerschaert winning the fight by 29-28. Unanimous decision. He is a younger fighter, has a bigger reach, has a bigger height. I think he's going to go out there, go for takedown after takedown, keep the fight even in the striking game, and overall win the fight by 29-28, unanimous decision.